Hello everybody, and welcome back to another STEM challenge with me, Miss Jessica. Today we are back at the Battelle Darby Creek Park because I absolutely love it here for STEM challenge. But before we get started, I want to remind you that today's program is worth 30 points towards your summer reading challenge. So make sure that you go and you enter this word, feather, which is the word of the day, into READsquared, and you can earn 30 points towards your program. So go do that real quick before we get started, all right? So if you think back to that word of the day, feather, can you think of any animals that might have feathers on them? How about birds? We're doing birds today. So birds are some of my absolute favorite animals. They are beautiful and they are so diverse. So you can find all different kinds of birds. You have birds that are teeny tiny. You have birds that are bigger than a human. You have birds that have crazy hairdos, birds that have short beaks, long beaks. You have birds on every single continent. And you have birds that are right here in your backyard that you can go and check out right now. Also, while we're just walking and talking here, did you know that scientists believe that birds are the only living descendants of dinosaurs? So they're from a group called theropods, which included both the T-Rex and velociraptors. So when you're eating your dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets, you're not actually that far off. The scientists that study birds are called ornithologists, which is apparently from a Greek word, ornis. But we today are going to be amateur ornithologists, and we are going to go bird watching today. I'm excited. So what makes a bird a bird? There's lots of things that birds are known for. For example, they lay eggs in nests, but then again, so do reptiles and amphibians. They also lay eggs. Birds are also known for having wings. But I bet you can think of some other creatures that also have wings that are definitely not birds, like maybe a bat, right? Birds are also vertebrates, which means that they have a spine. But once again, so do a lot of other animals. So what is it that makes a bird, makes them special? It's actually their feathers. So absolutely all animals that are classified as birds have feathers. You might not be able to see them very well. For example, a penguin. You can't really tell by looking at them that they have feathers, but they do. They're just very small feathers that end up looking more like hair. But absolutely all birds have feathers, and that is what makes them special. So one thing that is very important when you are out bird watching is that you need some kind of guide. Because you might find a bird and be like, what is this bird? I have no idea. So if you go to the library, look at that. We have made up a field guide for birds that are most common around here, or things, there are a couple special birds in there, but you can find absolutely all of these birds right here around Columbus. So make sure you go to the library and you pick up one of these, and it will help you immensely on your bird watching journey. So this is an example of just one page of the field guide here. So you can see there are 3 birds on this page, and it has information about each of them. I'm being interrupted by a bird right now. He wants to be in on this video. There he goes. So once again, in this field guide, you'll find information about all these birds. So down here, you have the American goldfinch and the robin. I'm sure that you guys have all seen robins. Look at that bird. You can find those guys right in your backyard anytime. So some tips for bird watching. First of all, if you have a pair of binoculars like these, they are absolutely invaluable for bird watching. As you know, birds can be pretty flighty. So it's hard to get close to them. So binoculars are very helpful if you want to be able to see a tiny bird that is really far away from you. The other thing is you want to be able to dress quietly, if that makes sense. So when you go out, don't wear like a bright neon shirt. okay? Because it sticks out a lot when you are, amongst nature and the trees. If you're walking around in a bright neon shirt, you're going to be loud, and the birds probably aren't going to be as receptive to you. What else are we going to talk about? Oh, birds. Birds like the morning hours, which is very unfortunate for night owls like me, who just want to stay up all night. Birds are most active in the morning. So if you want the best shot of finding a particular bird, you're going to want to be up nice and early in the morning. Also, another hint, which might seem obvious, but if you are looking for a particular bird, you need to make sure that you are in the right place to find that bird. For example, the great heron, which is in your field guide. I'm probably not going to find a great heron here at the Battelle Darby Creek, because this is basically a big field. See? So herons aren't really into fields. They like marshes and water. They mostly eat fish, that kind of thing. So you're not going to find one of those here. But I could definitely find some red-winged blackbirds here because they like fields and grasslands and stuff like that. The last tip is also probably fairly obvious, but when you're bird watching, you want to be quiet, right? Because if you're going to be really loud, once again, the birds are pretty flighty and they're just going to fly away. So you want to be real quiet when you're bird watching, okay? So one way to do some bird watching actually doesn't involve watching the birds, but it involves listening to them. So there's an app called Birdnet that will help you with this, and I'm going to show it to you. It's a way to listen to birds and use their songs to identify them. So every bird has their very own, every species of bird has their own way of talking to each other, and scientists have mapped this out. And if you record a bird, you can make something called a spectrogram, which I'll show you one very shortly here, which is basically a visual representation of what a bird sounds like. And really good ornithologists can look at a spectrogram and guess what bird it is just from the spectrogram without ever listening to the bird. So let me open up that app and I'll show you what I mean. This is what it looks like when you open up the Birdnet app. It automatically starts recording whatever is around you, so you can just open up your Birdnet app and record a bird if you hear it immediately. What is happening here, this is a voiceover, so it's not responding to my voice, but the yellow and yellow greenish parts are sound that the app is picking up. So those little lines that you see there, that is a bird that is making some kind of sound. And now I'm going to play what sound it's recording so you can see it line up on the app. So that is the sound, and you can pause it, and then you can highlight a section and ask it to analyze, and it will give you whatever bird it says. Here is another one. Okay, so we're going to pause it, and we're going to see what this bird was. There you go. And we got one more here. Pause it. Highlight. That one looks a little different, doesn't it? We got a mourning dove. Now that we've gone through some of the basics of bird watching, I think you are ready to go out there and do it yourself. So I personally see a ton of birds around here. So Battelle Darby Creek is a great place to go, and so is High Banks, which is all the way up north, so I highly recommend that. If you go to High Banks, there's a chance that you'll see a bald eagle there, which is very cool. They nest up at High Banks. You might also see one over at Pickerington Ponds. Pickerington Ponds is a great place to go if you want to see water birds. So if you want to find that blue heron, I highly recommend going over to Pickerington Ponds. So pick up yourself a pair of binoculars. They don't have to be the most amazing binoculars ever, but go find yourself some and go out there and find yourself some birds because they're real cute. Alrighty, so here we go. Okay, so because I only have so many resources to take videos of birds, there's no way that I was going to get you some very nice video of birds with just my phone camera. So I wanted to find you some clips of some birds that you might see actually moving around and doing their thing. So first of all, this one is the American robin that we talked about last time. And then we have these blue jay here also. They have absolutely beautiful feathers, especially in their wings and their tails. And here we have a mourning dove. And the mourning dove, most people think that it's morning as in like morning and night, but it's actually mourning as in he sounds sad. So he's named the mourning dove because of his call, which we actually heard earlier on the Birdnet app. And it just sounds so sad. So he's the mourning dove. And then we have some hummingbirds here. Hummingbirds are unique because they actually drink nectar. That's not a very usual thing for a bird to eat, but they have those really long beaks so they can get inside flowers and they can get the nectar out of flowers. And then this is a downy woodpecker. So if you ever hear like a ding 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 on a tree somewhere, it's probably a woodpecker. And these guys are special because they are most likely to come to a human bird feeder. And then here we have a Canada goose, and I'm sure you guys have seen these around. Probably in a parking lot or something like that. And sometimes they have a bunch of goslings trailing after them. And then here we have a cardinal. Very bright and red. I bet you guys have seen a cardinal before. This is actually the Ohio state bird. And although that's cool, he's actually the state bird of several states. And then lastly here we have this bald eagle. And once again, you can find these around town. You just have to know where to look. So I'd recommend one of the parks would be your best bet. Thank you everybody for joining us today for our bird watching journey. If you really enjoy birds or if you liked going out and looking for the birds, there are a lot of resources that you can find that are great for bird watching. I highly recommend the Birdnet app that we talked about, but there's also the Audubon app and the Cornell app, which is called Merlin. It's from the Cornell School of Ornithology, which is a very big deal in the world of ornithology. Almost everything out there is either Audubon or it's from Cornell, and they're both awesome. Especially the Cornell website has a really fun game called Bird Song Hero, where you can look at spectrograms and listen to birds talking or singing, and you can try to match up their song to their spectrogram, which is really fun. So highly recommend that. I had fun with that game too. And once again, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to add Feather to your READsquared app for 30 points towards your summer reading club. I hope the rest of your summer is wonderful, and I can't wait to see you guys again soon. Bye!